Happy day to you, Lukey. I'm glad we've uh, recording the show today. Really good one for people. It's really about your breath and eye awareness, and how is it that your breath really causes state specificity. Everything, all memory, learning, and behaviour. Like if you um, ran your nails or over a chalkboard a bit, or something you could feel something shearing a little bit in there, and it's an example of things state specific. Everything is sort of state specific. So where somebody is inspired in inspiration, and so that you're feeling an inspiration. Um, it's interesting. Every single thing, of course, has something that's relating to a physiology. And what is it that is going on where you're lengthened, for instance, and you're starting to lengthen the inspiration? And how about just doing that through this moment in time where you're listening, you're reading along where this is if you're reading and things, but you're doing what you can right now to have a lengthened inspiration, and at the top and at the bottom have a bit of a stillness, quiet, where this is, where the breath is empty and just there's nothing happened. And that's a beautiful calm transparency. And how long can that be where you are, where this state is relative? But slowing the breath down is the cause of you to have carbon dioxide, which is missing. Okay, so to breathe through your nose and lengthen this, we've got a really great show. It's all about magneton, enriching your whole vitality versus rabbit breath. Creative awareness is really where you've got no inner dialogue and everything's been shut down. And it is where you've this moment where inspiration is, and you've paused at the top, and as you've expired, you've paused at the bottom, and a spontaneous creative intelligence is available to you, that you are able to be more in interest and pleasure. And every single word you use, it has a physiology, and your word really is your bond, and congruence where things are, where your word is, an action achieved, and integration is what really this show is about. So having a bit of a positive mindset where you are, you see, and having a sense of inside you some new optimism and enthusiasm. This is sort of going on where you lengthen your inspiration through your nose. You're tapping into the septal region of your brain, which we're going to be talking a bit about. And so your breath is infused with more a super radiant energy of light, where you've got more super presence. Light is flooding into corridors where there's been quite darkness, and suddenly you're realizing, oh, wow, yeah, that's right. You do know, of course, you've got runner's high, you see, yes? You've got endorphins and things which has been released there, where you've physically had some exercise. You have enkephalins. And during the moments of those things, you sort of really got this more lengthened inspiration. You've got peptides, which are triggered ever more, which is regulating you to have some comfort more, rather than a dissing of that comfort. So saliva is really, life science. Most don't really know much about saliva at all, but how wet the mouth is and this sort of thing. But your parotid gland, which you've got substances which come from the parotid, and it'll come to be known more how important these molecules are from the parotid gland, which secretes saliva, where water and protein-rich fluid is. So you've got saliva, of course, and we're going to be talking a bit about this, but it contains RNA and DNA. We're going to be coming up to talk a bit about it, find out what does this do? How does that help? I mean, are you supposed to have a supplement, for instance, which is encapsulated or whatever, and it just doesn't contact much with saliva? What happens where that is, where something doesn't contact with saliva? Where does that nutrient go? Does it actually, is it able to pass through the liver a few times or more so you can have an effect of it? You've got RNA and you've got tiny little small vesicle spore which protect the immune passage and cause a nutrient allowance, you see. So in this show, of course, you could be thinking about it, but you've got endogenous opiates, you've got enkephalins, endorphins, dynorphins, you've got natural opiates, which are modulating where discomfort could have been. And stress starts to disappear more. You have a sense of euphoria. So rather than dysphoria, you've got this binding receptors, you see, where the brain and spinal cord is, and all this is your capacity to have regulated mood and digestion and memory. So we might be the only ones that you could have heard be saying, oh, turn your internal dialogue off, you see. It's very important. You've got lengthening of your inspiration through your nose, and you've got these turbinated air that passes. You've got aerolife colloid, which carries mineral, of course, zinc, copper, rhodium, osmium, ruthenium. You've got, and that all is transported more by fragrance. And you've got this passage so deep up into the brain behind the back of your nose and cooling the brain as you're lengthening the inspiration. So you've got an ethmoid organ, which you've got bones and things which help regulate the magnetic exchange, which we can talk a bit about. You've got nasal passages which produce nitric oxide. Yes, that's right. And there's got vasodilation, you've got oxygenation as a result of this, and absorption of gas molecules, which is open to be able to be received of that exchange, where wetness is, where the endothelial cells are. You've got cardiovascular health otherwise, and you've got neural efficiency. You've got bright individuals which really have fewer neural resources being used, where something is. So whole brain functioning really is a vestibular activation where you're using this correctly. And you've got bright individuals, really, don't you? You've got fewer neural resources being used, and you've got a neural efficiency. So you've got state specificity, see, of memory, learning, and behaviour, and you have this alignedness more and accessing cues to recall what this is. These are things that just start to happen naturally, that you've got a body movement experience about everything. So cortisol, of course, you could tune into other podcasts and you could really learn how this impacts where immunity is. If you've got a managed cortisol, or, oh wow, no, this is really high cortisol, you've got immune suppression, you've got adrenal fatigue and these sorts of things. So cortisol really is restored where life colloid is. You've got cell rejuvenation. You learn how to use more far-infrared science and things, and use a monophasic diet. And so hypercapnia, which is having breathed off all the carbon more than what you should, that's equivalent to anxiety in the past, if it had been, you see. So a rapid breath causes carbon dioxide loss and dizziness and anxiety and all of that feedback loop. But your quiet nose breath, lengthening through the inspiration through your nose, you've got more days added to your life, you see. So if we stop mouth breathing where sleep is and you restore carbon, you've got a balanced and calm mind. And you're accessing more your receptor region of your brain. So the inspiration that you're feeling, and as you're in this moment forever, you've got this activation going on where your septal region is activated, and a relay is going on where the emotion is. And so you've got gorgeous cognitive more integration where you are. So what's regulating memory and the flexibility that you have to have good executive guidance and divergent thinking? The inspiration which you're feeling is a pattern which is you're recognizing, and it's allowing you to assemble more new ideas. So as you're anchored more in an I-aware state at this moment, you see, you're more outward lived where your meditation is, and joy is equivalent to nitrous oxides, isn't it? And that's the smooth muscle dilator. It opens everything up. So laughing cools your brain and opens up more the blood vessels. And every inspiration is delivering ever more to you nitrous oxide, you see. So it's keeping all of your circulation and things intact. And it's the very thing that really causes you to have life itself, you see. So it's your inspirative breath, which is key in awareness and inspiration, and slightly lengthening this. Yes, you have this paucity sort of at the top of the end of the breath, and this is really a beautiful lengthened breath. And so you're expressing ever more your inspiration, and your nose breathing, lengthening this in your inspiration. And eye awareness comes about ever more. Your brain and your heart ever become more connected together, you see. So where somebody is more in their other than conscious of, not too conscious, yet processing things, something is going on where you've got this a special feeling where you feel creative, and you've got this something which is creative and more in this whole brain function pattern. And so cognition really is your feeling and bliss that's flowing, and it comes because you've got no inner dialogue. You see, quieten that down. Okay, how much you've had, you see, to quiet that down. And so a deep transparency is, Lukey, where everything is, and a cognitiveness where feeling is of your bliss is more flowing, and you've got no inner dialogue. It's quiet, transparent. You've got this inner calm, and emotional stimulus really has risen more. Doesn't go above 2. Yeah, you see, and it's a scale out of 10. So where you might have run that up past 10, like to 11 or something, it's like, I mean, it doesn't even get to 10, you see. So 2 is where you keep things, and you always are getting things passed on. So you're prompted to be inching ever more forward to a spontaneous or creative, intelligent moment, you see, and this coming about. So it's your new ideas where you're processing things, and it's in a non-attached being where you've got more perfect detachment. Your breath is ongoing and you're relaxed, and you've got far more magneton richness and all of that versus something that was just like a rabbit breath, you see, yes? So something which causes your creative thought and action is really your being, isn't it, and your work of art. And you've really got a great experience, and there's a big difference between breath, for instance, where somebody is just, you can hear it, and I could put a sound to it like, that's good. It's a breath, and you can hear the length of a breath, you see, and how many breaths maybe somebody had during one length of a breath. So your cognitive condition where you are and your capacity to feel bliss is triggered more by your inspiration, and so you tap this by lengthening the inspiration through your nose, and you've got an emotional stimulus that comes about because of this, you see, because you're activating more your septal region, and so you've got this spontaneous creative intelligence. You've got this activity where a new idea comes to be, and it's being in your kinesthetic self and having more kinesthetic intelligence. So you've got this, part of this is called your inspiration, and your action more is where your word is. And every single word has a physiology, and it's a bond where something is something is integrated, something is congruent, and you're more associated, being present. So you're able to have achieved more some goal that you've set for yourself. So looking at adopting a positive mindset, it's this new, full, more optimisticness where you are, and you're full of more enthusiasm, you see. And so it's like your search engine, yeah, that's right. It's more of a superintendedness, allowing you to have good word usage and get rid of all those errors where, you know, your original manuscript is in yourself, you see. So you're in breath, and your spiritual beingness is your more goodness, where infusedness is, where you're endowed ever more with this moment in a pause where things are, where your breath is, you see. And during that moment, you've got more a flat wave, which is carrying a very fine vibration. So in your breath, where you've got this more godlike infusedness, where you've got this endowedness, where you've got more a super radiant capacity, and it shows there where your brainwave is as well. So your inspiration, where your spirit is, and this is a breath where you're aware, you're empty, and you simply have care. And this is you having a feeling about a feeling, where your perception is, and this is always you in your omnipresent self, you see, not someone strutting back and forward on some stage. So how associated are you right now here to having a feeling more of euphoria, for instance, and could you be accessing where you've had this runner's high? Yes, in this exercise you've got the endorphins being released. So you have a sensation more where aversion would have been, and that is neurologically being inhibited, you see. So enkephalins really are released, and this happens naturally. You can't stop it. Try as hard as you can not to feel bliss, but you do, you see, where you're lengthening your inspiration, and you've done this now for some 15 minutes or something, and you've got this beautiful interval where peptides are acting, you've got neurotransmitters being moved around, and you've got a regulatedness more of where comfort is. And so now where the past was where some need was, that would have been equivalent to pain, no need is anymore, and that's your perception over things. And so your central peripheral nervous system is capable to be able to have a more calm, relaxed response about things, and where your reactiveness is, you see. So what happens when you're breathing through your nose to saliva and your parotid glands, you see? Is this where you're more free to have your own RNA signature over the molecules that you consume where your mouth is? Is this just a watery, protein-rich, where it would be that you could have consumed something but you didn't? And this, like what we're talking about right now, is sort of nutrient, which isn't anything that's sort of past your lips. And so what's secreted? Yes, by your salivary glands. And what's coating? Nutrient that's roping that to cause your immune system to be able to recognize and let this have a pass without stopping it, you see. So
what happens where something was consumed in another way, like rage food would have been, and notable? How could somebody eat where that is? I mean, a parotid gland is what good ideas could be passed on there, so things are being recognized more. Your saliva contains a mixture of RNA and DNA. Yes, it does. Okay, so put that up front, not way down the back. Wow. Put it up the front. Saliva contains RNA and DNA. All right. So life colloid secretion really is your gorgeousness of having the ability to have this included in a series and mucus fluids where you've got white blood cells, you've got epithelial cells, you've got also life colloid, they've got mold, fungus and yeast, bacteria and things that could be there. You see, you've got DNA and you've got RNA, and where saliva is, it comes in contact where things are shed more, where epithelial cell lining is of the mouth and white blood cells. Would somebody think that that's not part of saliva and not part of what comes through the parotid gland? I think it's a bit ridiculous that you not think about that and say, oh, that's way up front. Okay, so you've got a significant portion of all of this, which is where your oral life colloid is. So RNA and saliva all originate where you've got a better sourcing going on, and you've got this includedness where your saliva is, and you've got complexities where nutrient is, and shouldn't that be just easily dispersible, where you're waking up in the morning and your saliva is easily dispersible into the water? That shows you don't have cystic fibrotic state. If it does, okay. So your oral life colloid all have nucleic acid. Yes, it does, complexed within it. Okay. And so our story is a bit about this today too. So you've got RNA protection, that's right. You've got the presence of RNA. You've got also sort of degrading types of enzymes which are specific to certain things and what have you. And so saliva RNA and microRNA, this sort of thing is really protecting and causing a certain type of degradation to go on, and yet an encasedness where extracellular vessel is like these spores are and called exosomes or whatever. You've got dinorphide peptide involved. You've got pain modulation. You've got emotional response and stress clearing away, being reduced more, you see. You've got feelings of dysphoria having, come to be still more where you are. You've got natural opioids, and you've got these precursor molecules. You've got pro-opiomelanocortin, which is a mother molecule in the body that's produced. And so you've got these things which produce various peptide hormone, and you can see a mechanism where this is being released. You've got endogenous opiates as well. That's right. You've got this traveling through your nervous system and binding to specific receptors, of course. And so you've got this localized, ongoing nerve cell, secondary nerve condition going on through your nociceptive system. It's through your connective tissue, and the sensations passing through there, so it becomes more normalized, you see. So for your spinal cord, and where euphoria is a feeling of naturalness, is where no inner dialogue is, and you're regulating ever more loudness of function. You see, memory, digestion, and mood, all of this is looking more like, wow, you've got this example of a runner's high. I can see it, you see. Yeah. So endogenous opiates are being released. And how much is it that this session that you do where you are, it lasts for 2-3 days because you've got more serotonin. Yes, you do. And so why not produce more natural opiates? That's the question, you see. And could endogenous opiates be released ever more because you just simply have changed your breath more in your pattern?
and come to actually have a better habit automatic. Endorphins and then these enkephalins are all being manufactured more where the brain is in your pituitary gland. You've got aerolife colloid, which has properties, and these are transferring life colloid where you've got atoms of element like zinc, copper, iron, rhodium, like we were talking about, and all of this is going to the brain. So the ethmoid bone, which is your magnetic sense, you see, this is our magnetic sense. It's full of our own body's lodestone crystal, you see, yes, which is extremely magnetic. Okay, so ethmoid bone and nose has turbinates where the air is circulated, where you're breathing in, and it's regulating and directing this flow more way deep up into the brain, matter of fact. So your nasal passages, where air passes over these turbinates, is increasing ever more where the surface area is available to condition all of this magneton exchange. Yes. Why? Because energy is being created from the ether and it is running your brain. That's right. Okay. So it's never not. And you've got other means as well helping where energy is. Okay. So as you've got this beautiful happy face inside, you see you've got this natural coolness in your brain. You've got gorgeous nasal passages and sinus producing nitric oxide. And you've got this molecule and it's really improving your body's ability to be able to absorb oxygen, carbon dioxide, you see. And the last one, of course, carbon dioxide is is allowing you to vasodilate and open up smaller blood vessels and bronchioles and things naturally. So nitric oxide works very fast and beautiful. It opens up your blood vessels. It acts on the smooth muscles, opening this up, just the same as carbon dioxide does too. Okay. So where the regulatedness is where you've got a nose cycle, you've got turbinatedness, and having this nasal cycle is where you've got erectile tissue, and one nostril could swell while the other one sort of contracts some, and you're directing most of the airflow where you are, and it can be coming more through slight single nostril relative, but yet the process of controlling all your autonomic nervous system is existing here, you see. And the glands and where the linedness is of your nasal passage is this possible for you to be felt more of a recharge. And so, it's interesting observation that people had, where miners were working with things, they sort of really never got much pneumonia, of course. You've got ethmoid sinusitis, otherwise got lots of irritants sort of causing turbinate swelling and conditions, which is known as turbinate hypertrophy, where tissue is grown and things. And it does because why? Because breath was not correct, where it could be during your sleep, you see. You've got this gorgeous endowed polarization, and if you really have quite your own inner dialogue down, everything is coming about for you far more quickly. So how relaxed your shoulders are and tummy is, of course, you see, and your own inner dialogue, has that been quietened down? So if you're tuning into this, what's the higher intelligence where you've got expertise, where you've got fewer neural resources, what we talked about, right? And that you're performing a task where you've got lower intelligence. Yeah, that's right. And less experience, you've got far more neural cells and all sorts of stuff going on there. So a neural efficiency otherwise is, and you've got this analog which is more efficient. It's just like your car could travel the same route and doesn't really hardly use any fuel much. So your studies where you are and techniques, you could see, of course, in these MRIs and PET scans and things that's done, you've got brighter individuals which show lower overall brain activity during cognitive task.
than someone who would be some more intelligent sort of counterpart. So if you could imagine whole brain functioning, of course, you've got this beautiful correctedness where the use of the vestibular senses, so you're moving toward and you're having things within and you're using direction this way, okay, to be more associated. And so you're more in this non-biased, activated state where you've got more whole brain patterning and you've got far less total energy that's needed for you to be remaining more efficient. Because what would be a reason why your shoulders wouldn't have been nice and relaxed, you see, and your breath lengthened. So in eye awareness, you've got this focus, soft, of course, and activatedness of eye and brain areas where automatically associated to congruency and integration is more relevant, you see. You're focused on things and you've got just naturally automatic channels being lined up below your random phoneme generator, and tasks at hand you could see really contains far less conditioning of your own brain and far more efficiency. You're getting things done and you could chunk things down and you could learn how to say, no and stop, of course, to things which are good. So it's gradual and greater that you've got ever more diffuse ability to have a restedness relative and functional plasticity. You've got this calm, widespread activity going on, passing through the body, and you've got this quiet and down feeling that's inside afterward, and this is lasting for some days. So you've got eye awareness, which is beautiful because you could have this whole brain function training, and life, of course, indeed is drastic otherwise, but drastically improved. So training in this area, you've got your own personal development, and isn't this the better thing that you should be focused on where you are? Isn't this the proper technique where you are to start to pick up things and become better in your own kinesthetic self and have mastery over the outside world? And so your lengthened inspiration, or otherwise, your inward walkedness and sitting and living meditation, it's ongoing. It's not turned on or turned off. It's not just some planes. So you're exploring ever more your own neural efficiency ongoing, and you've got this phenomenon which relates more to your own cognitive performance and how are you showing up and what sort of expertise have you developed. And so you've got this natural cortisol breaks, you see, where some failure could have been even, and cortisol levels could have remained persistently high in the past otherwise, causing ever more widespread damage in the past, you see. And that can have affected every body system. Yes, that's right. So your high blood pressure, where that would have been, and hypertension and things like that, you're not going to tell me that that's not the big cause of where your blood's been, where pressure is, and it's because you've had a rise where some increased sodium retention was all of a sudden, which shouldn't have been. It's much more, of course, than a road about having zero cortisol, yet your response with high cortisol is it's really been suppressing your immune system and having you or anyone else be more susceptible in the past to various things. So calming yourself and having this be just automatic more now for you. You see where your shoulders are more relaxed, where your tummy is more relaxed in life, and you've got this lengthened inspiration that's been going on through your nose, you see. And so it's a state of your ongoing use where you're chasing some pursuit of a changeless bliss, and yet want to release more your own endogenous opiates, you see. So adrenal fatigue, we used to hear about that. Adrenal fatigue, it's like, we used to hear about that. It's like burnout. That used to be something which would be known as something physiological. It's like burnout, where that would have been, you see. But you can't have some gain strategy and not hit the staggers where you are And unless you change the things where you are, it can be just completely unrecognized, utterly, that you have a metabolic disorder. That's corrected through nutrition. It's corrected through clearing away toxin. Okay. So and changing where your mindset is, where learned helplessness could have been installed, where you got taken out of your regular time frame where you were, and got dysregulated from the outside world. So it's sort of bringing this all back where this should be. You see, you've got a supply of plasma where you've got nutrition, and otherwise you've got this stress condition that life could have been wasted, sort of thing. And so chronic stress where high cortisol would have been, it damages because you've got an acidicness, and it's really called adrenal fatigue. You see, okay. So you're recognizing what you've got really ever more where mainstream responsibilities in life. You've got this effective way to assist yourself, have reduced cortisol and manage stress. And so you've got the self-care more happening in Life Food, which is one word, not two. And you've got jump cell rejuvenation and cleansing, which you could look into with the science of far infrared. So somebody could be more balanced. Yes, you could. You could have had more Life Food and maintained this sort of as a monophasic way to be, and only have selected food, which reduces more. You'd notice your overall intake. And so it's just because you've got more bliss inside. Of course, whole brain functioning training is teaching you ever more about how to use more the whole of your brain rather than just having gone around things where limited mind function was. So that you're paying attention to how much interest and pleasure that you have, and you're unlocking your frontal cortex now, you see, forever. And for others as well. So it's a functional plasticity that you're gaining. You've got far more enhanced mental fitness to be able to have challenge where solvedness is of that, you see. And you've got a trustedness where bondedness is, and you've got this wiring more that's specific, and you've got this exercises which is drumming more something which is complementary, like a binary condition in yourself, where you have this state of balance, where you've got proper brain function. You've got a feeling more that's coming about because you've got this inspiration lengthened, and you've got this feeling of pleasantry. So where I did an instrument, Jubb's instrument, which looks at whole brain patterning and gives you ability to be able to clearly see where somebody's in a constructed or contextual type of validity and reliableness, to be noticed that this is a pleasant state or this is a reverse state. But you're showing some synchronized brain activity where better cooperation is. You've got a far better and more advanced team and group and family dynamic and skills. So whole brain functioning cognition is giving you more state specificity for syntax, which is gauging ever more what's involving and it coordinating more your left and right sides of your body, and you've got this better, more like cross-call type of activity. And you've seen how much this is improving more your hemisphere connection, which it does. So you're in excellence, and you're presupposing excellence, and you're in this state of specificness where analog sculpting is, where you're accessing ever more your kinesthetics, you see. And so, bliss is coming about because you achieved this more emptiness. And so you're receptive. You've got this kinesthetic auditory visual pattern in whole brain functioning, and you're viewing everything more where eye awareness is, and you've got this education now giving you more instruction. And you've got a real technology that you can be using. You've got some experience more, which is complementary, don't you? You've got this whole brain pattern and phenomenon, which is really based on pleasure and your neurology and your capacity to be able to have been inhibiting aversion. See? So whole brain functioning comes along in eye awareness, and your own education is adopted. You've got an effective achievement. You're claiming where you are. You've got this altered state of consciousness. And this is just your
significant, meditation, which is being empty in your mind. You've gutted your mind. And can you gut your mind? Yes. To gut your mind, to mind your gut. Your enhanced performance. You've got your own ability to be able to regulate the vestibular sense, because you can come to know about this more, and how are you showing up, and what sort of alignment do you have, and are you passing this on? Is this helpful? And so where's your improvement versus something which is truly just controversial, over the top? Maybe that's good. You're looking at what's scientific, though, you see, and what's shown. And the potential wiring really is for new behaviour, that you're reducing anxiety. You've got weight reduction, you've got partial replacement for anesthesia and things. You've got, whole brain functioning education can cause you to be far more broad, where your sense of acclaim of things is, which is improved. Improved your own focus, you see. It's improved your own memory. You're accessing more an extraordinary state of consciousness, which is activated more in your life. And so you're becoming ever more supported by your peers. And so you're changing the group think where you are, definitely. Okay? You're having this group think now more. You see, this is valid. This is giving you a structure. This is putting everything in a context, isn't it? And there's so many other experts that agree with me and this. Okay. So in short, of course, you've just got 1 minute, that's all. And maybe you only got 4 minutes, that's it. But why aren't you urging others to view this and get hold of the whole article more, so you can pick all of this up? Which you can just take a second right now to know, wow, no, this is something very important to me. I need to hatch this. I need to get this passed on more, and I need to be able to hatch where things are certain, you see, so you can absolutely be able to be giving. And is that really so? Yes, it is. Not sharing, but giving. Okay. So you're really posting where things are, where you are in your own brain, and it's not that something would have stopped otherwise, because hypercapnia. Oh, got back to that. Yeah, your breath. Have been sleeping? Has it been quite relaxed? Has your breath been through your nose? And where sleep is, since you saw the suggestion, is eye awareness being in your breath nice and relaxed every moment that you've had, where you've allowed the breath to be calmed down more, you've been more considerable to have a lengthened life. And what's the mental state that you have right now, where this 24 hours are being made and you're no longer hypercapnic because you've lengthened and quietened your breath, and you're holding on to carbon, which you need to do because it's deficient where we are. So what's the range of the mild to severe progression where things are, where it's driven by physiological changes, and you're only ever seen some sort of disrupted blood flow where in the past magneton lacked any balance. So is this you going along ever furthermore where lacked metabolism was, and go, oh no, this is not metabolism. No, this is some pill from the shelf. I think you've to look at everything and see what would be better for you to have nutrient. Have you ever heard about that? Okay, well, today you are. How about actually clearing away toxin from your brain? Wow, it's the first time you ever heard about this. Okay, listen. You could just start slowing your breath down, quiet more right now. You could be stopping all your internal dialogue because it's way over the top, way too much, and all that's been so paranoid. Get off it. You see? So you've got breaths. You've only got so many breaths, and isn't life more what took your breath away?
versus, how many breaths have you taken. So what's this to do with adding another day to your life? Have you ever heard about the hypocapnia? Have you ever heard, hey, stop getting drugged? Have you ever heard that? Have you ever heard somebody say, hey, find out how you could have an understanding or how to control what the lightheadedness is that you've had? You've got control over your dizziness, and you've got a great reduced cerebral blood flow of the past, for sure, because of it. You see, you're causing yourself to have felt some transient feeling more, but why should have that only been your feeling of faint and steadiness? And can't you actually have seen that something like this here comes in and it heals all of that up? You see now, you see? So where a racing heart would have been and that sort of thing in shortness of breath, it isn't anymore. You've got this relatedness in breath where inspiration is, and it can't be misinterpreted more. You see where life-threatening sort of event was or something. And hypocapnia came about, also triggering some feedback loop where in the past it would have been bam, wham, bam, thank you, ma'am, increased anxiety. And so memory learning and behaviour is state-specific, Lukey, yes. It's your internal state, yes, and it's significant, mate, because you've got this information and you're recalling whatever it needs to be, which is task-specific and performed. You've got this soul determinant evermore where you're learning memory and behaviour is state-specific, and you're thinking more about how does your breath now evermore play into all of this. And so what's individual for you where your own internal physiological, psychological state is that you could be changing and have changed? And isn't this where you've got better recall? You've got better encoding? Isn't this the instant now? Evermore you've got it's information, isn't it? You've got what was said about mood, and isn't this easily being more recalled where you are, where feelings, yet sadness is no longer? And something just so because what you've pulled up more is emptiness in yourself and fullness in the moment, being receptive. So if you check this out right now, you're going to be able to retrieve more information easier. You're going to be able to code information in. The encoding, of course, external and internal balances, and you've got this through your breath being more relaxed. You've accessed more attunedness, more to an inspirative aspect of your breath. And so it's a major driver of engagedness where you are. And it's your retention to have some attention span. It's your predictor of your ability to learn and have a good outcome and have tenets like this, which you've got better attention span, you see? So why not have this? Automatic. You have this significant predictor where learning is shining more for you. You've got this cultural background, you've got shape behaviours where things are, you've got that influence where learning is, and where's your motivation? Your memory of, or your sense of everything that's to do with growth, achievement, recognition. You've got these are things which is motivational more. So you've got all the channels below, and everything should be being supportive of your random phoneme generator, generating things toward what your outcome is. You've got a state specificity in memory, learning, and behaviour. And that's what our show's a bit about. You've got this encoded evermore, and how does your inspiration through your breath impact all of this? Are you going to be paying more attention to the message that we've talked about here today? Is it possible to pay attention a bit more to catch what's the rest of this and making sense? You've got better insight for yourself. You've got amygdala function where negative emotion would have been, and that would have shut down your frontal cortex, wherever that was, and how are you going to have some sort of coordinated response after that? I don't think so, not too much. And what are you going to do? Just be remained in some Tourette type of syndrome, where all that you could come out of your mouth is something all rote, learn, short sequence sorts of things? It's just unimaginable. I mean, it's like the hour that you've had just going over a score where Ken would have been an emotional response. It's like, whoa. Especially, fear-induced. It's like, please. The breath, inspiration. And so your breathing is really supposed to be not out of control. Wake up and have awareness more. So if you would like to be in the front of the line more where your brain is, shouldn't you be operating course from not the back of the bus? It's the septal region is what's connecting you. That's right. It connects your frontal cortex to the whole of your brain. Aversion, shut that down. Oh, yeah. Okay. So your inspiration, where you are and you're giving this to others, is causing more septal functioning, and you're going to think that the whole world is going to function, globe more better. Of course it does. And does it function where you've got someone in charge just spying on everybody else and having every other nation spy on every other nation? It's like bull dust. And paying for all this Franklin bull dust ongoing in every nation. The same. Please, grow up. You've got an inspiration. Why don't you move into the golden age now with your language? Stop all your negative, aversive bull dust. Grow up and model excellence. You don't think that this is a proper statesman? Of course it is. So stop acting like a drunk monkey stung by a scorpion, you idiot. And nobody's an idiot, are they? That's behaviour. You're not behaviour. No. We just said that your identity is pristine. And so can you talk about behaviour? Of course you can. Well, if you can't, what's up with that? So your executive guidance should be really intelligent, should be the faculty to inspire creative influence of the future, yes. And is it about agreement? Damn if it's not. You're an idiot. You're acting like an idiot. Stop. Okay. How about sorting for agreement? You've got agreement. It's one response. How good is that? You've got agreement. That's another type of response with condition. And then you've got polarization. Don't want country try, but must only. You're going to get this. My voice is clipped. It's like, wow. Yeah. That's kind of really aversive, you see. So can you know a little bit more about your own body language? I think you should. It could be you being able to access analog sculpting and access the state and have the ability more to regulate your emotion and memory and have better cognitive flexibility. So is this interesting to you here today in what you're listening to? Are you gaining ever more and you've got this public soaking up of some skills where you've got an interest and pleasure and it's engaging more your septal region of your brain and you've got this frontal cortex and you're engaging more integration, your cognitiveness and your complexity where thought is and behavior disappears a lot because it's how your inspiration is and life is more, what took your breath away rather than how many breaths have you had? It's not wanting to be triggered ever more by some lacked awareness where your reversed state would have been and some rapid breath would have been and you just lost all the carbon and anxiety and triggeredness of that by hypercapnia in the past, hyperventilating, leading to a vicious cycle where the physical symptoms of that low carbon dioxide would have been just left with you having a feeling of a tingling and dizziness.
Well, we wake up right now, you see? Yeah. Why should you have that increased fear and fuel having gone on? Because you just have had a lot of frozen logos. Don't even know about universal consciousness. Okay, well, you can. So the voice and the speech in the past and all that clipped, fast, pace, heavy, loud, aversive word, body, language, cutting the air, pushing your head way out in front of your body, pressing your lips together. Ooh. It's a rapid breath, removing from you all the carbon dioxide that your blood would have needed to have. And so because that's all lost, have you got rapport with people? No. Do you care? Well, you should. You only have power where you've got rapport. And so have you been rewarded because you just like, were very aversive every time you ever connected to someone? And that's all. That was the only way you ever were? And so if you're correcting respiratory alkalosis, you've really got an effect where calcium levels are, and you've got a physiological process like Tourette's typically, and that can just be intensifying anxiety. And so whole brain functioning conversely really is you having a physical comfort where you really don't have any hypercapnia. No, you've got calm, a more dominant meditation where your active listening is, and you're not a loose goose where you've got no center. Why? Because you're more focused where somebody has their own interest and pleasure and neurology, and that's been inhibiting the amygdala. Good. So, if it doesn't, like, what are you doing? Is that just been having triggered anxiety where others are? Is that just been an ongoing past which has to have changed now you're listening to this? Your state specificity has really created more a self-perpetuated feedback loop. So is this what we're talking about, where your inspiration is? And this is more your outward lived meditation? Is this you stopping the effect of some past mouth breathedness where you slept and now you have this calm? You've got this, what is no longer reducing the carbon dioxide like you had? You've quieted your breath and you've got a potential impairing otherwise of some cognitive function, and you only would have worsened that anxiety. So if you're laughing, you've got to know, of course, coming full circle, that this is cooling your brain, and you're really focusing on the very things which is relevant. It's opening up your blood vessels, and you're doing this so that you've got a very good breath support where your blood vessels are staying more lordly open, and got a production where your blood is accumulated more nitric oxide, and so your lung and sinuses is all getting a delivery where your inspiration is. You've got nitrous oxide that's coming into your bloodstream, and so let's not say that your blood vessels aren't going to be shut down if you don't do this. This is what your physiology is, you see. So the delivery should be not hell, the gates of hell. That's going to be wrong for anyone. It's really more you, where your breath is and your inspiration. And you've got nitrous oxide that's coming into your blood. Okay. So hopefully you're looking at this finally, of course, and it's interesting. You're sudden, of course, where some style is, you're clicking, and it's you're getting a flow more, you see, and everything really needs to have proper grammar. You could say your own punctuation in your own self. Anyway, I think if you take a good look at this, you're going to be focused more on the benefits. It's about your inspiration. It's about some specific resource that's coming more from an anchoredness now, just automatic, how your inspiration is getting kicked into gear. And so you're engaging more where divergence is, and you're assisting, synthesize new ideas where you are. You can, because you're in inspiration, you see. So how about having a feeling that you sure have lived a pattern like this? Yes.
you're coming from something recognized more. You have a total serial processedness in your memory, which is of your own non-lexical intelligence. You've got a great serial memory for doing things. This has remained ever rich. You've got a great experience and environment, and this is your mastery. Yes, it is. Over this beautiful, loving self where you are in your kinesthetic self, okay? So anyway, I hope you're having a wonderful day as you've been listening to this. Imagine now for a moment that the inspiration has been lengthened, and you've got this top end stillness and this bottom end stillness. You've got this sort of calmness where the breath is more. You've got your inspiration that's happened more through your nose, and you've got more magneton versus rabbit breath. Love you, mate. Catch up to you in a future show.